Hi everyone, I'm Brenna Quinn. I lead our product team at Cerner, and I'm here at HIMSS 2022, and it's really exciting to be in person and see everybody in 3D, but it's also really exciting to have some time to chat with a good client, colleague, friend, Dr. Kendall Wyatt, who is a practicing clinician as well as the Associate Chief Clinical Informatics Officer at Charleston Area Medical Center in West Virginia. And so I'm really excited to have the time to chat with you today.
Great to be here, Brenna.
So to kind of start, one of the things that's so interesting about you is your really diverse background, being a practicing clinician and a technical expert, somebody who I understand is really passionate both about the clinical experience, about technology, and about innovation. How does your role and that diverse experience help you kind of bridge the intersection of the clinical and the technical worlds at CIMC?
Yeah, at CIMC, really being, clinical both as a provider and nurse and having a lot of technical experience, I get to, like you said, see both sides. But sometimes seeing both sides also makes you want to jump in and do things, but it lets me see a lot of the opportunities that are out there to integrate things, and make it easier to use. Make it essentially actually part of the workflow. I say all the time, it's so easy just to make another alert, another hard stop, because you just throw that in at the end. But it does take a lot of skill and focus to truly make something that maybe is regulatory or needed for billing to be integrated into the workflow for the nurse or provider and into those workflows, and it's not extra work. And seeing both sides lets me really focus on that, and it's what I absolutely love to do.
That's terrific. And one of the things that's exciting at your organization right now is CIMC has signed up to partner with us on Revelate, and you guys are going to be the first client who migrates from Millennium to the new Revelate. And while I know we're still in the early stages, how's the experience been? And maybe if you want to share a little bit about what you're excited about when you get through and are live on Revelate.
Yeah, like I said, we're still in the early phases. We've not really gone through all of the process yet. We're starting it, and it's exciting, and we're doing a lot of the discovery where we're at, working with the teams on our current state of where we are right now. And it's going through everything kind of with a fine-tooth comb to make sure there aren't any missing pieces when we get to start the installation and the migration, upgrade, transition, as you will, which is planned to be really underway this summer. The thing that I think is most exciting, and with revenue cycle, and as a provider who also understands the billing side, for better or for worse, we have so many processes, extra software, extra workflows, extra stops that, as you will, that have to work on a claim in the back end, because we're working through some interventional radiology things right now, and every single interventional radiology procedure is not the same. Things happen in surgery, it needs to be coded at the end. And a lot of the power for what we see with Revelate is it's going to give us those ability to have those options that are going to streamline a lot of those workflows. And some of those things we bought third-party software now, and some of them we just have an army of people reviewing claims. I mean, we can't hire enough people to do that work, and it's expensive. This is going to integrate that in, so we actually have the power to customize those, and that's probably what I'm most excited about, because we, as a provider, we build clinical alerts for, sepsis or heart failure. We're working on some quality initiatives right now to make more alerts and integrate in. This is going to do that on the back end, inside of those individual options. And everything we see so far, it's really exciting. I mean, it's going to be a journey. Nothing's easy.
Absolutely.
I don't want to sell it as such, but there's a lot of power there to pull all of that together and bring us to the next generation of an integrated solution.
And we're looking forward to getting your feedback through that journey so we continue to evolve for the best for the rest of the client base as we go forward. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah, our revenue cycle director, Christine Sturdivant, of course, does all of our, she's working hand in hand with the Cerner teams. And one thing we talk about a lot is being able to impact what we're making and working on that to take it forward. And that's exciting because we don't know everything in Charleston, West Virginia, but we have a lot of those variables. And we're actually able to look at some of those other nuanced things, and Cerner's taking that feedback, and we're going to work with you to get through it. It's going to be exciting.
That's great. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and kind of talk about the community. From what I understand, West Virginia really is struggling with an opioid crisis. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think the nation is struggling with the opioid crisis. I don't want to undermine that fact. I think that's we're all aware. But one thing, there's opioids itself, as far as opioid prescriptions and things. West Virginia did have a very high number of opioid-related incidents, and I feel like it's kind of like the pandemic. We hear about COVID for so long, and it's just like more COVID, and the opioids are the same way. But one of the things is taking action and doing things about it, and I think those are things that we're doing from the hospital standpoint to be able to put those pieces in place to make a difference on where we're at with our prescriptions and things like that.
And I believe you use the opioid toolkit, and I'd be interested in your perspective on how you were able to leverage that and apply that. Right now there's a large HIV outbreak, which is likely due to injection drug use and as a result of opiates and control, fentanyl, etc. But one of the things that we did to incorporate things in was use into our clinical workflows the opioid toolkit. And the opioid toolkit is a collection of things, and it let us bring in provider prescription data and integrate in our pharmacy drug monitoring program that's required. In 2018, we had legislation passed around prescription timings for acute pain, and a lot of oversight required. And we then had to have either, again, that army of people to manage and keep up to date with the regulatory offerings, or find a solution, and that's where we landed on opioid toolkit. Oh, great. Seems like you're constantly pushing the envelope on how to do things better. And I know one of the things you guys have been really focused on is how to improve the overall workflow. I think particularly in the areas of documentation. Can you share a little bit about the journey there and what you've been driving? Yeah,
and I think referencing back to the opioid piece with that as well is it pulled everything together. So before, providers had to go and go to the state website or the state vendor to go review prescription drug monitoring. Now it imports right into that clinical workflow. Just with the click of a button, you query it and all the information's there. There's integrated alerts. And a lot of what we're doing is trying to get the most relevant information for each of those clinical specialties into that single workflow. And the opioid toolkit, out of everything we've done, I think was one of our biggest successes. It's definitely a driver to get all of the information. I mean, it's not just about counting clicks. I hear that a lot, and that's not a bad strategy. That's one strategy. But it's more than that. It's deviating from the entire EMR. It's switching off to other websites or segmented processes. So in our workflows, we've pulled all that data together kind of in an ontology that it works for everyone as a base, but then we have all these other pieces like opioid toolkit and many others to pull in so that you have all the data right there kind of at your fingertips.
So did you take advantage of Lights On data and Cerner Advanced to help drive some of that?
Absolutely. I think along utilization of improving clinical workflows, Lights On, Cerner Advanced is the one good thing about for us in West Virginia. We don't have an army of people to build insane dashboards. We have some great people in West Virginia. But we don't have that large of a team to be able to do it. And out of the box, after we connected, the endpoints, the lights on data gives us real-time information for hundreds of metrics as far as monitoring, prescription drug monitoring, the use, utilization, as well as Cerner Advanced gives us all kinds of user data on implementation of utilization of features, time studies, all those clicks, but dozens of other metrics, all real time in dashboards that anybody can interpret out of the box. And the only thing we have to do is kind of connect the data points, make sure we use what we call as blood pressure, we connect that to lights on with those kind of individual metrics, and it all works. We don't have to maintain it. You lose some customization there, but you can export the data and then manipulate it your own way. And we use it. I use it every single day. Many of our other teams are using it now, and continuing to see the value in having those integrated pieces at the forefront for our clinicians.
And so as you use that data to help drive optimizations for the clinicians, what kind of feedback do you get from the providers, and how do you help with use the data and the change management and really get them to
really make a difference, right? Change management's tough. And one thing, so what we've actually done is taken that lights on data and Cerner Advance of that, user behaviors that are out there, and we've put that in the hands of our actual frontline educating staff. We call them provider support, but it's a team that works with providers and the teams to really help them go about their day. They're kind of an on-call, I need help hotline, but they come out. They'll actually use that data to then say, you know what, you should really use these items that maybe would help you. And they kind of take those tidbits and they sprinkle them into what they do every day. And we get a lot of adoption and win with that. But also focusing on just creating things that put all those integrated pieces together are what really work. Because then that team can show them. And we have hard data to show, well, here's what everyone does without it. And then here's what everybody has with it. And it's better, it's easier, providing we work to make sure we have those configured. And then any providers and medical staff especially, they want to see data, they want to see hard numbers, and you can put side by side.
Yeah.
Here's the control, and here's what you're doing. And they change. And I think that's what we need to show. And I think we, as hospital leaders, need to prove to people that what we're going to do is going to make a difference for them, and it's not just another hard stop. I take that to heart, and I know you do. We talk about this of not just putting those things out there, not just throwing it up against the wall and see what's going to happen, but really let's prove it, let's show it, and that's what Lights On really lets us do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're really using it in a way that's giving it in the hands of the education team, so you can really drive change, and being able to give it and speak to the providers with information that can help them understand, that change is happening, or that they can affect the change is really, really pretty cool. So clearly, CAMC has a lot going on between driving workflow optimization, dealing with helping the community support, the challenges you face, not just with the pandemic, but with the unique challenges that come with, some of the opioid challenges, and then driving forward to modernize and uplift the revenue cycle. Well, clearly you have a lot going on. I mean, between optimizing your workflows, driving forward change within the organization, taking on the new project of uplifting your rev cycle, and also while you're really being very focused on mindful on what you can do to make a difference in the community, particularly as you face challenges such as the opioid crisis that we just talked about. I think all of this is a great reflection of the great work of CAMC and your sort of passion for both medicine, technology, and innovation, clearly giving you a full plate and making a difference. And I want to thank you for joining us to share your story today and the journey of CAMC.
Well, I appreciate it, Brenna, but I have to say it's not, it takes a great team. And you are correct, we have a lot of things going on, and we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have a passionate, CAMC's IT team is undertaken more new installations of things and implementations, and they work great together. And I think that, you know, having a great team is really one of those requirements in spite of, or in addition to all of the things with the pandemic and everything else. And it really, it takes a great team, but I couldn't imagine doing anything else as far as striving on these kind of initiatives and taking those things to heart. And I appreciate the chance to be here today at HIMSS 2022 and talk about it.
Me too, and you guys are great partners, so thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And for everybody else, we hope that you have enjoyed time together with us, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of HIMSS 2022 and take advantage of what's here in this very full exhibit center. So thank you, enjoy the conference.